The way a woman speaks to a man tells him everything he needs to know, not about her feelings for him, but about how she values herself. We live in a world where women are constantly told to tone it down, be less direct, less bold, to not scare him away. But a high-value woman, she doesn't play by those rules. She doesn't shrink. She doesn't audition for a place in someone else's life. A high-value woman understands that curiosity is her superpower, not a strategy to gain approval, but a genuine expression of confidence and openness. When she talks to a man, she doesn't feel the need to impress him or prove herself. She doesn't enter the conversation thinking, I hope he likes me. Instead, her mindset is, do I like him? Do I enjoy this connection? That shift changes everything. Her questions come from a place of exploration, not performance. She doesn't cling to every word he says, hoping to match his preferences or shape herself to be more likable. She stays rooted in who she is and allows her curiosity to flow from that place. When she asks a question, it's thoughtful and engaging. She wants to know how he thinks, how he lives, what drives him, not because she's trying to win him over, but because she's genuinely assessing if his values, mindset, and lifestyle align with hers. There's no anxiety behind her words, no overanalyzing of how he might perceive her. If he shares something shallow or boastful, she doesn't fake admiration. She redirects the conversation to depth, to truth, to real substance. That's the power of leading with curiosity. This kind of woman isn't afraid of silence either. She knows that she doesn't need to fill every gap to keep his attention. She's comfortable enough to let the conversation breathe, to give him space to reveal himself without feeling pressure to entertain. That quiet confidence is magnetic. It makes her presence feel calm, yet captivating. She doesn't overshare to keep things going, and she doesn't interrogate. Her curiosity is balanced. It's about connection, not control. What's also striking is that she listens deeply. She's not waiting to jump in with a story to match his or one-up him. She absorbs what he says and asks follow-up questions that show she's paying attention. And when she speaks about herself, she does it with clarity, with purpose. She doesn't use her words to seek reassurance. She uses them to express who she is. Whether she's sharing her passions, experiences, or opinions, she owns them fully. There's no over-explaining, no defensiveness, no need to water anything down. That kind of presence makes her unforgettable. And when she disagrees, she does so gracefully. She doesn't shy away from expressing a different point of view. In fact, she sees disagreement as a chance to show strength in softness. She's not combative, but she's not passive either. She's curious about why he thinks differently and isn't threatened by it. That's what creates emotional safety. She makes space for dialogue, not ego battles. This energy invites deeper connection because it shows that she's secure enough to explore, to learn, and to engage with authenticity. A high-value woman sets boundaries without drama, apology, or fear of losing someone. Her standards are not walls to keep people out, but filters to allow the right ones in. When she talks to a man, she doesn't wait until things get uncomfortable to express her limits. She communicates clearly from the start what she's available for, what she won't tolerate, and how she expects to be treated. And she does this not with aggression or defensiveness, but with calm certainty. There's no need to raise her voice or justify her preferences because she knows her worth isn't up for negotiation. This type of woman doesn't play games or use ultimatums. She doesn't try to manipulate someone into respecting her boundaries. She simply holds them consistently and confidently. If a man crosses a line, whether it's emotional, physical, or energetic, she doesn't wait for multiple red flags to take action. She notices, she communicates, and she adjusts. If respect isn't restored, she walks, not out of anger, but out of alignment. Because she doesn't beg for basic consideration. She doesn't teach someone how to treat her through over-explaining. She teaches them through action. When she talks to a man, she also models the kind of communication she expects. She listens respectfully, but she doesn't allow herself to be talked over or dismissed. She shares her truth, even when it's uncomfortable, not because she wants to cause conflict, but because she values clarity over confusion. She knows that boundaries aren't just about saying no. They're about showing up honestly, even when it's inconvenient. That kind of honesty can be disarming, especially in a dating world where so many people avoid confrontation or dilute their truth for fear of being rejected. She doesn't rush to accommodate. If she's busy, she says so. If something doesn't work for her, she's not afraid to say, "That's not going to work for me." She doesn't rearrange her life to fit into someone else's availability. And when she says no, it's not up for debate. She doesn't reward persistence when it disrespects her boundaries. In fact, how a man responds to her limits tells her everything she needs to know about his character and emotional maturity. She also doesn't shame others for having different values, but she's crystal clear when there's misalignment. She can appreciate someone and still decide they're not right for her. She doesn't cling to potential or try to fix someone to fit her standards. She respects herself enough to release what doesn't serve her, even if there's chemistry or attraction. That self-respect is the foundation of her boundaries. They're not reactive. They're rooted in self-awareness. She's already done the inner work to know what she needs, what she deserves, and what she will never settle for. So when she speaks to a man, she's not afraid to disappoint him if it means staying true to herself. A high-value woman communicates with a warmth that draws people in, but never at the expense of her self-worth. When she speaks to a man, her tone is inviting, kind, and emotionally present. She's not guarded or cold, but she's also not overly eager to please. Her warmth isn't a tactic to gain affection. It's a natural extension of her self-confidence. She doesn't try to win someone over with charm or flirtation rooted in insecurity. Instead, her presence feels grounded and effortless because she's not performing. She radiates authenticity, and that kind of energy is impossible to fake. She doesn't rely on over-the-top compliments or exaggerated reactions to be seen. She listens with attentiveness and expresses herself with clarity, not codependency. When she's excited about something, she shares it with joy. When something bothers her, she speaks up with poise. Her emotions are not tools of manipulation, they're expressions of her lived experience. She doesn't expect a man to decode her needs through silence or passive aggression. She makes it easy to understand her, not because she's trying to control the outcome, but because she values clear connection. This kind of woman doesn't use emotional intensity to create closeness. She understands the difference between emotional availability and emotional dependency. She's comfortable being warm and affectionate, but she doesn't give more than someone has earned. Her kindness isn't an open door for anyone to walk through, it's a reflection of her values. And she knows how to dial back when someone fails to match her energy with respect and consistency. Her warmth has boundaries. It's not a bottomless resource for people who haven't shown they deserve access to it. When she engages with a man, she doesn't feel the need to constantly prove how cool or low maintenance she is. She's not afraid to express interest, but she never chases. Her energy says, "I enjoy your presence, but I don't need it." That balance between openness and independence is what keeps her power intact. She's friendly, approachable, and emotionally intelligent, but she doesn't lose herself in the process of trying to connect. She doesn't downplay her desires or pretend to be indifferent to maintain an image. She owns her feelings while still holding on to her self-respect. She also knows how to navigate conflict with emotional maturity. If a man disappoints her or triggers an uncomfortable emotion, she doesn't lash out or shut down. She approaches the situation with grace, expressing her truth without hostility. She doesn't need to attack to feel powerful, nor does she need to be passive to feel safe. Her warmth allows her to be compassionate, even when she's being firm. And that's what makes her communication so impactful. It creates a space where real intimacy can grow, because it's rooted in both emotional safety and self-trust. He brings this same warmth to light moments too. Her laughter is sincere, her compliments are intentional, and her energy is contagious. She enjoys connection, but she doesn't depend on it for validation. She knows how to make others feel seen, but she never disappears in the process. A high-value woman speaks with directness that comes from inner security, not the need to prove herself. She doesn't rely on games, subtle hints, or manipulative strategies to communicate what she wants. When she talks to a man, her words are clear and unapologetic. She doesn't beat around the bush or hope he'll read between the lines. She says what she means and means what she says. This directness doesn't come off as harsh or demanding. It's actually refreshing because it removes confusion and sets the tone for honest communication. She's not looking to trick someone into liking her. She's here to see if real connection is possible. Her confidence allows her to express what she's looking for without worrying about being too much. She doesn't dilute her truth to seem easier to be around. If she wants a serious relationship, she says so. If something bothers her, she brings it up. If she feels something strong, she shares it in a way that reflects maturity, not emotional instability. Her feelings don't own her, but she doesn't hide them either. She's in control, not in denial. That makes her stand out in a world where so many people hide their truth behind politeness or fear of rejection. She's not trying to be liked by everyone, she's trying to be understood by the right one. That mindset gives her freedom. She doesn't seek approval through pleasing behavior. She's okay with being misunderstood or even walking away if she senses the man isn't aligned with her values or unable to meet her energy. Her directness protects her from wasting time on situations that don't nourish her. It also helps the right man recognize her quickly because there's no mask, no performance, no facade. Even when she flirts, she keeps it honest. She doesn't use fake interest to maintain someone's attention. She doesn't pretend to be into things she's not. She's playful, but sincere. She compliments with intention, not to get something in return. Her expressions of affection are real, and she's not afraid to be vulnerable in small doses as long as it feels safe and earned. Her communication style is both graceful and strong, because she doesn't rely on others to define her worth. She's also direct when she's uninterested. She doesn't ghost, breadcrumb, or string someone along. If she senses that something isn't a match, she communicates that with respect. Her honesty is never cruel. It's anchored in clarity. She values her own time too much to engage in situations that feel off, and she respects others enough to be straightforward with them. This makes her deeply trustworthy. People feel safe around her because they know where they stand. There's no guessing, no walking on eggshells, no decoding. And even when she's navigating emotional conversations, she maintains this sense of grounded directness. She can express disappointment without drama. She can ask for what she needs without guilt. She knows that clear communication doesn't push the right people away. It draws them closer because it invites connection that's based on truth, not pretense. A high-value woman mirrors effort, not emotion. When she interacts with a man, she doesn't get swept up in the excitement of how she feels and start overgiving or overinvesting before it's reciprocated. Her self-worth doesn't allow her to pour energy into a dynamic that hasn't earned her consistency. She understands that emotional attraction is not a reason to ignore reality. No matter how much chemistry she feels, she pays attention to how he shows up, how he communicates, how he prioritizes her. That's what dictates how she responds. She doesn't let her emotions run ahead of the relationship's actual foundation. This doesn't mean she plays games or pretends to be indifferent. She's capable of expressing interest, being warm, and enjoying the connection, but she balances all of that with self-awareness. She gives as much as she receives. If a man is inconsistent, she doesn't chase clarity. If he pulls back, she doesn't push forward. If he invests, she meets him there. Her presence is a reflection of his effort, not a reward for his potential. He doesn't build the relationship alone. That balance in energy keeps her from falling into the trap of emotionally carrying something that was never mutual to begin with. She also doesn't make excuses for a lack of effort. She doesn't rationalize flakiness, vague responses, or emotional unavailability just because she feels a strong connection. Her groundedness keeps her from projecting her desires onto someone who isn't showing up in reality. She's honest with herself about what's happening, not what she wishes was happening. That emotional discipline protects her from heartbreak and allows her to move through dating with confidence and clarity. When she sees consistent effort, she naturally softens. She opens up more, invests more, gives more of her time and heart. But she does it in response to what's real, not what she hopes will eventually become real. That self-respect keeps her magnetic because it communicates a powerful message. Access to her is earned. She's not a free emotional laborer for men who offer potential but not presence. She knows how to pause, observe, and allow someone to reveal who they really are through action. Her ability to mirror effort also applies to communication. If he texts thoughtfully, she engages thoughtfully. If he's vague, she doesn't overextend to create clarity where none exists. She doesn't double text, over-explain, or force connection. She allows space for mutual rhythm to develop, and she doesn't override that rhythm by trying to lead both sides of the connection. She trusts that if someone wants her, they'll show it, and if they don't, she moves on without resentment. This mirroring of effort keeps her grounded in reality instead of fantasy. She knows that relationships are built, not imagined. She doesn't rely on potential, charm, or wishful thinking to stay engaged. She stays present with what's being shown to her, and she matches energy with intention, not emotion. Her actions are thoughtful, not reactive, because her heart and her standards are in sync. A high-value woman understands the power of space. She doesn't feel the need to constantly pursue or fill every silence in a conversation with a man. She recognizes that mystery isn't about playing hard to get. It's about maintaining her individuality, her rhythm, her emotional balance. When she interacts with a man, she allows room for him to come toward her. She's present, engaged, and authentic, but she doesn't dominate the connection with her energy. She leaves space for pursuit, for curiosity to build, for mutual effort to arise. She allows attraction to be a two-way dynamic, not something she creates on her own. She doesn't send 5 follow-up messages when he goes quiet. She doesn't initiate plans again and again without reciprocity. She's not cold or withholding. She's simply balanced. Her energy doesn't chase, it invites. Her absence in moments of silence isn't a punishment. It's a reflection of her life being full without constant validation. She knows her availability is not a currency to buy someone's attention. It's a gift offered to the right energy. That sense of self-possession makes her intriguing, not because she's trying to appear disinterested, but because she's not dependent on the outcome. She also allows emotional space. She doesn't try to force a man to open up before he's ready. She doesn't push conversations beyond their natural flow. She reads energy and adapts, not to please, but to remain in sync with truth. Her ability to hold space makes her feel emotionally safe. She listens without interrupting. She asks questions without needing immediate depth. She allows time for trust to build, rather than forcing connection through oversharing or intensity. That patience allows the bond to grow in an organic, sustainable way. In relationships, she lets the man feel his role. She doesn't strip him of the chance to lead by constantly planning, initiating, or deciding for both. She's capable of those things, but she values polarity, balance, and mutual desire. By leaving space, she allows attraction to unfold. She knows that in order to be pursued, she has to step back sometimes, not to manipulate, but to receive. Her strength lies in her willingness to not always be in control. She trusts that what is meant for her will rise and what isn't will fall away. She doesn't equate silence with rejection. She doesn't panic when energy dips. She stays grounded in her worth, allowing herself to lean back when needed. She doesn't try to fill gaps with effort that hasn't been earned. She knows that pursuit is not just about who texts first. It's about who consistently shows up. She leaves space for a man to reveal his level of interest through action, not just words. Her presence is strong, but it's not overbearing. She makes an impact and then lets it echo. She doesn't overstay emotionally. She gives enough to spark something real, then lets it breathe. This kind of energy keeps her powerful without being aggressive, feminine without being passive, and desired without ever needing to beg for attention.